and we're back. So, figured the sun's finally up and it's a beautiful day out, so I would do my lower back intro right outside the gym. So, just to set some context, I think I've heard from a lot, and there's some recency bias here, but I've heard this a lot continuously. It's like whenever someone tries to get back into strength, they often tweak their back doing deadlifts. And it's like a very challenging thing to work through. I mean, I've been there. Once you tweak something, it's hard to build confidence there. Especially because deadlifts are touted, and they are the best way to build kind of strength in your lower back. Going back to the exercise is quite daunting. And so I wanted to share kind of like a 2 exercise complex that I find very helpful in strengthening and robustifying the lower back. I would say that, try to get back to doing deadlifts if you can. They are the best. But, it's really easy to sub in. So one of the exercises, which I'll spoil right now, is the heavy RDL. And heavy because it's like, I think a lot of people, when they think accessory, they think light. And I think if you want to train to do heavy deadlifts, you got to do the other things heavy too. So heavy RDLs, Romanian deadlifts, are excellent because unlike the deadlift, which you have to start from a dead stop, you can start the RDL with the eccentric contraction. So you can kind of really feel, the back and the hammies and the glutes sort of like work into the position of then kind of like contracting and swelling back up. I think the reason a lot of people, myself included, have back tweak issues with the deadlift is because it's very challenging kind of neurologically to kind of get into the right position right at lift time. It's why the deadlift is so hard. It's why lifting things off the ground is so hard. You start from zero. You don't get the eccentric contraction to kind of like prime your muscles into it, kind of like stretch the spring before it contracts. So often it's like people are not totally set in their position, and so there's like this little tweak motion right before you go, and that's where the muscle tweak happens. So I think practicing heavy RDLs can be a great way to strengthen the lower back more confidently. You can kind of like work into the, sort of like bearing the weight rather than sort of like starting and then like, being in the position where you don't know what's going to happen. And so the second exercise, so I think strengthening is important, but I think what we're all actually here for is, kind of like aging gracefully. And so when I think of strengthening, I actually, more than most people, like I work flexibility and mobility into that quite a bit. I haven't spent as much time talking about this, but I spend a lot of time stretching, doing mobility work. And as a result, I don't just have like strong hips and legs and back and arms and chest and all that. It's like I'm quite mobile now. And it's because I think I really don't want to be one of those people who ages and sort of like can't bend over anymore, can't walk upstairs, can't jump, can't dance, can't whatever, like sprint because of lower back pain, this or that. And so I think adding some flexibility work in as a dual to pure kind of like mindful strengthening is worthwhile. And so in my opinion, just like the best bang for your buck thing, there's 100 things you could do. It's just straight up dead hangs from a bar. It's nice because it's just so simple. You can do it anywhere you have something to hang off of. I actually do a lot between squat sets or deadlift sets. I just kind of like will use it as a way to kind of stretch out my shoulders a bit, let my, spine, like gravity align my spine. I think Ido Portal said that, which I thought was brilliant when I first heard it. So yeah, I'm going to kind of like walk through those 2 motions. I'm probably not going to share the entire, like a normal lifting video, share like all the work I do, but I will share kind of like the routine I do. Like I won't video everything, but I will say it, and then you can try that on your own later. So let's go through these 2 motions. All right, so we gotta test out some new angles here. Realizing it's about time I get a tripod to really level up my content game. But so I like having, if you have a rack, you can sort of like set the guard. I forget what these are called, but these guard things at a height where you can sort of just like rack pull it off and then immediately go into your work, rather than sort of like starting from the ground, so adding more weight, adding more work, adding an actual deadlift in or something like that. So we're gonna do just one set at this lighter weight, just so that I can kind of like talk through it, talk through what I'm feeling. But then I'll cut and show one of the heavier weight sets, just to give a feel for what we're actually trying to do here. All right, so still in frame. Probably still see my body. So just as with the deadlift, I mean, the motion is the same as the deadlift. You can choose to go stiff-legged if you want, i.e. don't bend the knees. That'll obviously focus a lot more on the hammies and the glutes. Doesn't matter. I mean, the key here is to kind of like slow on the way down, feel your back, and then contract up. Keep it smooth. I mean, you've seen now many of my kind of like more controlled squat sets. I think the RDL is a way to sort of add that into your deadlift training, and thus all the same cues as the deadlift, of course, but all right. Before I get into dead hangs, I wanted to at least show just kind of like what one heavy set of RDLs looks like, just because I think a lot of like, I guess like the fitness slop right now, people doing like perfect form with low weight bullshit, right? And if you want to get stronger anywhere, lower back included, you should be pushing the weight, and trying to control it, but pushing it. And so, usually when I rep these, I'll do them around here, maybe a little higher, a little lower, depending on how I'm feeling. So I have 425 on the bar. Just do 3 to 4 sets of 3. So I'll just, I'll show you guys one set of 3 right now. I think, especially for these, because you're spending so much time, I try to warm up as much as I can without the straps and just chalk up, but to increase the grip strength. But don't be shy about straps, because you're spending so much time, sort of like holding that bar, and your forearms and wrists can get quite fatigued. And we're trying to strengthen the lower back here primarily, not, So okay, enough talk. Let's just do a quick set of this. Woo! Nice glute pump too. So the nice thing about those is, you work up to doing these around what you deadlift, you will have a strong fucking lower back. You'll have no problem deadlifting. All right, dead hang time. All right, I created a little bit more work for myself, because move the weight out of the way of the hang. I have to do a deadlift later to start my next set of RDLs, but on to dead hangs. So yeah, dead hangs are, they're called dead hangs to distinguish from active hangs, where so dead hangs, you're completely relaxed. In active hangs, you sort of like flex your shoulders. Different purposes. I would say the benefit of dead hangs is literally just stretch spinal decompression. You stretch out your lats, you stretch your spinal erectors a little bit, and generally, when you're doing like squatting, especially, you're putting your body under significant spinal compression. So it's nice to just kind of like have some decompression in there as well. So the way I would program this in, so what I usually do is I'll kind of just like do them in between other sets of things, just and try to do sets of about a minute. I think if you start out, you should probably do sets of about 30 seconds or so. To not keep this video boring, I won't go for a full minute, but and then, but like try to work up the amount of weight you can do or amount of time you can do at a time, just so you feel some progression and your grip strength improves. Your shoulders gets like a little bit more, a little less compressed. What am I saying? I'm man, post workout fatigue and highs starting to hit. So I would work up to a total amount of time. So maybe start doing sets of 30 seconds and work up to around 2 minutes total, and then slowly increase those numbers. So I nowadays I do sets of about a minute, and I work up to about 7 minutes total hanging for any session. I mean, there's endless shorts and videos out there on the benefits of hang, so I won't go on too much, but I will just add to that by saying, or confirm all of that. It's all true. Dead hangs are like truly a wonder mobility movement, and I think especially when it comes to lower back issues, they will help iron out some of them. So let's hang for a bit to just talk through how it feels. So as you can see, my body is totally relaxed. You just kind of want to hold this position. I think when you start out, you'll probably feel initially some grip strength issues, but I would highly recommend, training your grip strength sufficiently that, by even just hanging, sufficiently so that they are not the limiting factor. If you want to get a little more advanced, you can switch to one arm. Just feel the hang in both positions. But honestly, initially, just try to rack up the time. Wouldn't worry too much about much else at the beginning. Oof, that already feels quite good. All right, so I think that's it for this little lower back ramble. I'm going to get back to this. So we're going to do 7 minutes of dead hanging. I think 3 sets of 3 heavy RDLs, and then maybe finish up with a few lighter sets just to kind of feel the stretch a little bit more. But yeah, paste like an RDL dead hang sort of superset, I suppose. I don't like that term because you should take rest. Like if you are building strength, you should take rest. But paste that onto the end of any intense strength session. And push yourself a little bit. Push the weight you're doing, push the amount you're hanging, and at least if I'm evidence of anything, it's like the lower back problems will go away, and you will just feel much more confident, kind of like rotating and moving. Yeah, so that's it for this. Let me know if you like this type of thing. I can do a lot more, but I'll close it out there for today.